Here to discuss is Maricielo Solis, CEO and founder of Blend TW. Maricielo, can we just talk a little bit about, the situation with Google? Google cited incitement and threats of physical violence found on the right-wing social media platform for why it has not approved the app for the Play Store. Do you think Truth Social will comply with Google's policies and actually address these concerns?
We'll see. I mean, they have not done it so far. It ultimately comes down to the willingness of Trump Media and Technology Group, the company responsible for creating Truth Social, to fix those issues that are violating the standard policies of Google, especially when it comes down to concerns regarding content moderation.
We look at this and then we look at a similar move potentially from Apple, right? That could be on the horizon as that tech giant reportedly looks to roll out a new iOS. How likely, given this scenario, is it that Truth Social is able to circumvent Apple's review system, especially since Apple, by many accounts, has tougher standards than Google?
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, tough for Truth Social to circumvent Apple's review systems because the platform needs a better control of content. I mean, from day one, former President Donald Trump presented this social media platform as a censorship free alternative, right, to more restricted conventional social media. But the issue is that this has created a hub for users to host violent and inflammatory content that is hard to restrict because of weak content moderation system in place. So if your social wants to survive in the Apple or Google ecosystem, especially in the long term, it's going to have to make modifications to create an effective system for moderating user generated content.
So what timeline are we looking at here potentially for Apple to act on this? Do you think it's going to happen when the app, or the app gets removed when the iOS system comes out?
I don't think I personally don't think it's going to be immediate. I mean, Apple it's rolling its new iOS mid-September, right, with the release of iPhone 14. So that kind of leaves a very small window for Truth Social to create major changes on the platform. But I do think that they will try to work directly with the company, and if they fail to reach an agreement, then I'm sure they're going to take action eventually.
Aside from the app itself potentially kind of getting removed from Apple's platform and now being, not being available on Google's platform, this comes at a really unique time. It comes as Trump is now considering kind of waiting after the November midterms to then launch a potential third presidential, campaign as he navigates kind of the widening array of legal troubles that we were talking about a moment ago with the Mar-a-Lago search and other things that are happening. What does this say about the former president's kind of political momentum? And we know that social media platforms more broadly have been a huge part of that.
Yeah, I mean, this November, Donald Trump really faces a pivotal existential test. He has spent the primary season throwing around his political weight by endorsing candidates all over the United States. The midterm elections will serve as a true test of his power. If we see a lot of Trump backed candidates ultimately winning the midterm elections and gaining the control of the Senate, then I believe that this will give them momentum to launch the third presidential campaign. But if his endorsed candidates end up losing, right, and narrowing Republicans' potential majority, then Mr. Trump will take another hit. Ultimately, I believe that the outcome of the midterm elections is a break or make moment for Trump that will determine his power and his strength in the Republican Party.
Part of his pillar of success that was able to kind of momentum into a position of the White House was the popularity on social media, the momentum he was able to generate there, and then the backing of the GOP. And at times that was kind of unfeathered, no matter what, Trump said or did, there was that backing. However, you've got Politico now reporting that the Republican National Committee is not going to pay former President Trump's legal fees connected to the FBI raid on the Mar-a-Lago situation. Does this signal that the Republican Party may potentially be shifting away from Trump and especially, and I think more importantly, his legal woes?
I believe so. The RNC have reached the point where they are just exhausted of all the legal issues of former President Trump. I personally believe that they're trying to distance themselves from Trump due to the following. First of all, midterm elections are around the corner. The last thing the RNC wants is more drama that could potentially alienate voters. Second, the RNC has already paid almost $2 billion in legal fees to law firms representing Trump between October 2021 and July of this year. So they probably feel that they've done their part. And then third, and this is probably the strongest reason, is like former former President Trump has repeatedly teased a third bid for the White House, and the RNC has been explicitly clear in its intention to stop covering the legal bills of Mr. Trump if he formally announces his candidacy for the 2024 presidential run, due to its obligation to stay neutral in the primary. So we will see.
We will have to wait and see. It will be an interesting outcome if that ends up being the case. Maricielo, really appreciate your time. Maricielo Solis, CEO and founder of Blend TW.